Let's look at Java and then let's write a Java program. The textbook covers a lot of topics. We'll cover some of them, but most of them we'll cover in more detail later on in the course. A computer program is a set of instructions that tells the computer what to do. These instructions are stored in either something like volatile memory, like RAM, random access memory, or in something more permanent, like a flash drive or a hard drive. The computer only understands ones and zeros, so any instructions that you write ultimately need to be converted into ones and zeros. So all of your instructions are converted, compiled, or interpreted to ones and zeros. A 1 or 0 is a bit. A combination of 8 of these together is a byte. So let's say, for instance, you type into your program and H E L L O. To the computer, when your program ran, that would be converted into some combination of ones and zeros for each one of these. So it converts your program into machine code. Now we can write a program. We don't need to write a program using machine language. We can use something called a higher level language, which are English-like statements. And in the past, we used procedural programming, but over time, that didn't that wasn't sufficient to write all of the different programs that run all of these different things in the world. And so object-oriented programming was created. And object-oriented programming is, well, objects. Say, for instance, we wanted to write a program that had a ball. Now, a computer has no idea what a ball is, so we have to describe what a ball is to a computer. And we do that in two different ways. One, what we say is that we need to describe the ball. What color is it? What size is it? What shape is it? What's the weight? So those are the description, the attributes, or might call them properties of this object. And the other thing that we do is that we say, okay, so this is the description of this object. What does this object do? And so we would say a ball, it might bounce, uh, it might roll, uh, it has certain things, verbs, it has certain things that it does. And so when we go to write the program on this object ball, what we do is that we just say, um, we, we describe the properties in the program. For instance, we might say ball equals the color green, and that would turn the ball green. We might later on go and say, change the color of the ball to red, and then to white, and then to another color. So when the program is running, we can change these properties. In our instructions, we can also have this object, or ball, in this case, ball object, um, do something. So those are the methods that go along with this. So we would say ball roll, and we would say in what direction and how far. Or we might say ball bounce, and we would say how many times we wanted the ball to bounce. So a program might look like the class would be called ball. The properties or the attributes might be red, uh, 5 centimeters, a weight of 20 grams, and the methods would be roll and bounce. So our program would be, we could say, ball equals color red, bounce 200 times. So that's a little bit of object-oriented programming where we create a class and then we create an object from that class. And again, we'll go over this a lot later on in the class. And then we write the program to say how we want to control this. Another example would be the creating an animal class, or more specifically a dog class, so that when we describe this object, this class called a dog, we would give it the name. We would say there's an age, there's a breed, and there's a shot status. So those are descriptions that go along with this object. So dog is the class, and a class is just kind of a general description. If you own a dog, you don't own the dog class. What you own is a specific type of dog. So in this instance, we have three objects that come from this dog class. One is Ginger, one is Bowser, and one is Roxy. And each of those have a description that go along with it. So there are other terms that go along with object-oriented programming. And again, those things we'll go over much later. But one of them is method, and we'll see that in a minute when we start writing our programs. Encapsulation, we'll see more about that when we go into object-oriented programming, but it's a way to hide your program from the outside. Inheritance, polymorphism, we'll look at those later. Java was developed as a general purpose type of programming language. It can be used in cell phones, it can be used in automobiles, it can be used to develop websites. You can use it for almost any type of programming. Java was called a programming language where you could write once and run anywhere. And what they meant by that was that you could write your program and then run it on any machine. You do that by writing the program, and then it sits on top of the Java virtual machine, which you install specifically for your computer. When you write your code, the compiler compiles it down into something called bytecode. And then the bytecode is ran on your computer using a Java interpreter. Something I don't think you see much of anymore are Java applets. Java applets were a way to run Java on a web page. You would, if you wanted to embed your Java programming onto a web page, you would use an applet. But now we'll be using Java Enterprise Edition and don't need to worry about applets anymore. So let's go ahead and create a Java program. I've started up NetBeans. You can use any IDE or integrated development environment to create your programs, but I'll be using NetBeans for this example. So I'm going to start a new project. So File, New Project. I want to do a Java application. Java application. Next. I want to give it a project name. Let's call it Hello World. Make sure I know where this is being saved at. Right now it's going to be saved in my NetBeans projects folder. And I do want to create a main class. So let's go ahead and finish and see what this looks like. So it generated some code for me. These are comments that it generated for me, and I don't want to use their comments. And these are block comments, and block comments start off with a slash and then asterisk, and then they end with an asterisk and slash. And everything in between is ignored. They are just for you or anyone who's looking at your program. So in here, I'm going to put my name. I'm going to put this is Java and the assignment. Okay. I'm going to get rid of these comments, and I'm going to get rid of these comments. The other thing I'm going to do is that, and I could set this up in my IDE to automatically do this for me, but I'm going to have it put these, if you see these curly braces, these indicate the beginning and end of a block of code. So our code right now is packaged inside of a and this is generated from the name of the class that we created. So it's our class is inside of this package. It's packaged up inside of this package right here. The class also is the same name as the folder. And inside of this class, and here's the beginning and end of this class, the opening curly brace and the ending curly brace. And inside of there is a method, and it's called the main method. Public, static, void, we'll look at all those later on, but for now we have a class. We have one class, and inside of that one class is the main method, and that's where we'll put our code between the opening and closing curly braces for that method. And let's system.out. Print line. I'm going to put the parentheses at the end of that and a semicolon at the end, and it says output whatever we print here between these parentheses. And now I'm going to put double quotes inside of the parentheses, and I'm going to start off with just anything to test this. So that's it. I've got a program all written, and now I'm going to run it. Run. Well, let's do it this way. I'm going to right click, and I'm going to run this file. Now there's at least three different ways to run this. This is just one of the ways to run the program. So the IDE built the program and then it ran the program. And the only output that we told it to output was hello world. So everything's working okay. So our program, there we can look in the Java API and see what all of these statements do. But system is a class, and in system, and a class is just a bunch of related code. And in system, there's something called a property, and that one happens to be out. So system dot out dot print line, or print, and that's an ln, not a 1n, but an ln, and then parentheses, and inside of that the double quotes, and then it will print out literally whatever's between these double quotes. It's a literal string that is an argument to the print method. So this print line method has an argument, which is stuff that's inside of these parentheses. And then at the end of this, we're going to have a semicolon. Now, there's a lot of new terminology here. And we'll look at all of these later in the course, but for now, it's just a way of organizing your statements. And a keyword is a word that is built into Java, and we make up a lot of terms on our own. And what we don't want to do is when we make up our own name, we don't want to use the name of one of these keywords. Pay close attention to the curly braces, where it's opened and where it's closed. It's really easy to get those out of alignment. And this line is the class header, and inside of that, the main method, and inside of that, the code that we wrote. And you have a choice of if you want to use block comment or a line comment. So a line comment, I'm going to start off with 2 slashes, and we can say anything on this line, and it will be ignored. So that is just information for the programmers. Okay, let's take a look at this. Do the shortcut, and I'm going to change these two. First, let's run it this way and see what it looks like. So I'm going to run this, and hello world, second line, third line. Okay, and I'm going to go back and change these. Instead of print line, I'm just going to say print, and let's see how that changes it. So run that, and you see where it says hello world, second line, third line. So difference between print and print line: you can print, cursor stops here at the end of this line, doesn't go to a new line, and then cursor stops here at this line and doesn't go to a new line. So difference between print and print line is carriage return line feed. I'm going to go back and make changes to this. And okay, so I have blank spaces in here, and I'm going to run this, run project hello, and you'll notice that it will display the way I've told it to display. Okay, done with that one. Let's create a new project. Close my start page. File, new project. Java application. Next. Call this GUI hello. Create a main class. That's checked. Finish. Clean up my file, and again I could set up the IDE to do this automatically for me each time, but then mine wouldn't look like yours. Okay, so I have to end this video here.